Hi, I'm Paco Nathan from O'Reilly Media. We're here at AI New York 2018, and it's a pleasure today to get to speak with Abhijit Deshpande, your global head of Ignio pre-sales and product specialist, and also Jayanti Murty, your head of strategic enterprise accounts and product evangelist.
That's right.
Both from Digitate, and so welcome today.
Thank you.
First off, can you tell me more about Digitate?
Yeah, so Digitate is a business unit of a company called Tata Consultancy Services. So TCS is about $18 billion services organization in IT size, and Digitate is primarily a product unit, and Ignio is our primary product here.
Okay.
So as TCS, we have been always building a lot of productivity accelerators and a lot of automation into it. But a few years back, we were able to apply machine learning techniques, and the technology that we created, we decided to create a product out of it, and that's where Digitate came into existence.
Working with IT, but then automating using machine learning applications inside of IT sounds fascinating. It seems like a really good domain for being able to apply machine learning. So right. You have, I can imagine that when it comes to deployment scripts, when it comes to a lot of data for telemetry, all this feeds in well.
Absolutely, and a lot of it has to do with marrying the concepts of machine learning and AI as a technology with the knowledge that is curated from a very large services background. So right. While there are a lot of AI and machine learning platforms that have a lot of generic capabilities, the machine learning capabilities within Ignio are actually optimized for use cases that span across IT and business operations. So that is what makes Ignio that much interesting and more unique because of the way it has been designed to cover the operations needs of an enterprise using state-of-the-art and cutting-edge technologies.
Oh, fantastic. I can imagine from the perspective of TCS, you're seeing across the board so many different kinds of environments and use cases.
Absolutely. I mean, we're working with Fortune 500 companies across the verticals. So we work with retailers, we work with manufacturing companies, insurance companies, large banks, and globally. So primarily what is bringing in here, apart from machine learning, cognitive techniques, like Jayanti was saying, bringing the knowledge and applying it in the context of the particular industry. So how, for example, a retailer would be facing challenges versus a manufacturer. So that's where the whole contextual knowledge comes in. And that's where we believe there is a significant power that we can apply this technology for.
Yeah, and I would like to add another interesting point is that while there is the parent funding organization for Digitate from the TCS side, we operate independently as a software product brand, and the approach to developing Ignio is that of any other software, next generation software. So I would say that's a strength that we are uniquely positioned between the industry and the services background and the product technology that we develop to make sure and understand what's the maximum value that the customers can derive out and how they can maximize the benefits out of this.
Excellent. Well, within this area then of product, what would you say, where are the uniqueness about Ignio?
Absolutely. So I'll probably take a shot and then you can add, Abhijit. From the point of view of uniqueness, the way we have designed this whole product, the core philosophy of the product is to empower people to do more. Okay. So that's our mission statement as well. So the way we have designed this product is to have a technology layer which applies a lot of the machine learning techniques that are popular and marry them with knowledge that is required to resolve issues in the context of a particular situation. So if you really take the contextual knowledge of an enterprise or a business and then take the skills and the technologies that are required to resolve operational issues around that, Ignio kind of brings in both the perspectives using state-of-the-art technology. And the way it is done, organized to fit in seamlessly into an enterprise landscape and talk to the various business systems out there, the various instrumentation systems, the various system management components, and source work for itself and execute it, drives a great deal of productivity benefits, great deal of resiliency and stability benefits, and most importantly, we feel really strong position to be influencing the experience of a customer. And that's what kind of makes this whole approach unique, because it kind of changes a big shift from a people-first approach to a machine-first approach, and that's enabled by Ignio.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, so just building onto that, Ignio, when we put it in action, it essentially changes certain paradigms in which IT service delivery is happening traditionally. So it's like the technology first model or machine first model, where the people are now becoming the configurators or administrators of the machine, and machine has the primary right of way in terms of determining where the potential faults is, determining what is the probable cause why the issues are coming in, and actually fixing it. So we complete the full cycle. Many times people think that AI technologies, machine learning technologies are primarily used for analytics purposes. Right. Tell me where the fault is or curate the knowledge and all that stuff. But we go one step further to actually take the decisions and do the self-healing of the systems.
The actions.
The actual action taking part. So the paradigm change that happens is you're becoming, today most of the stuff is reactive and everybody wants to be ahead of the curve. Ignio provides that ability to the IT teams to be predictive and proactive in terms of doing self-healing. So that's ultimately where power is.
One last point is that Ignio is an intelligence platform. It is essentially a platform that brings in intelligence, and we kind of bring in three kinds of intelligence. So we bring in recognition intelligence, intelligence that understands the context of an enterprise. We bring in reasoning intelligence, which understands the insights and the normal behaviors and the tendencies and the trends and so on and so forth. And then we bring the operative intelligence, which is the intelligence required to take actions. So we actually bring in all these three types of intelligence, and Ignio also can be viewed as an intelligence platform. Excellent. So that's another viewpoint as well from the way we approach this product and technology.
Oh, very good, very good. Can we drill down into some of the kinds of use cases then that you're seeing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like some of the use cases would be like we are working with one of an insurer, and in a particular sector of a particular market, they had a very unique problem. And the problem was you go and buy a travel insurance, and the end user gets you pay the premium, and you expect that a policy document would come, but because of some reason it doesn't come. So you expect that it might come in an email, and you're almost reaching to the travel date, and you still don't have the policy in hand. You frantically call the help desk of this company, and because this is only one user which is getting impacted, your ticket internally is classified as severity 4, severity 5, which probably takes 2 days, 4 days, 5 days. And mostly what is likely to happen is next time probably you're not going to buy travel policy again from the same insurer. Right. Now when you look at this problem statement, there is an obvious disconnect, lag between what business is facing, what IT is delivering. And this happens all the time. And even if on IT side we all have great dashboards which all look green, but from experience perspective, from customer's perspective, it's red. So like internally we call this as a watermelon phenomenon. Like it looks green from outside, but you open it up, it's red. So that's what is happening with this. So that's where we apply Ignio. And we say that the way this transaction is moving into the IT systems, Ignio builds that whole behavior modeling, and it understands what's the normal for this transaction to get completed, what all things need to happen. And if certain things are not happening, like in this case the email is not going with the policy document, it generates a alarm because it realizes that this is abnormal into that business process, and it will start digging where that particular transaction failed.
So AI could actually escalate whereas customer service might not recognize the severity even.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a problem where business is witnessing that probably there is no repeat business coming from the same customers. That is what you can detect now, which is I think is a great opportunity. These are the things that are primarily what we are greatly interested in, and that's what is happening.
And in fact, Abhijit had described fantastically, how it gets from a weeds perspective into the weeds perspective. I'll just abstract it out a little bit. Like if you generally take any operations environment or any enterprise, the whole idea is you should be able to deliver stability, experience, agility, and with the least amount of effort, which is efficiency, thereby reducing cost footprints. So for doing that, you need to be able to detect, predict, prevent, learn, and resolve.
Okay.
So if you really take all of these 5 capabilities and put them together, that's what kind of attacks any use case that is requiring these 5 capabilities. So it could be things like IT operations, where your mission critical, business critical systems need to be up and running. They need to be resilient. You need to be able to predict their failures. You need to be able to bring them back up when they go down. The business impact has to be minimized, to the point of legacy batch systems which have tens and hundreds of thousands of jobs, and one feed file late, you are basically taking days to catch up, right? To be able to instantly in real time say that, hey, I can see these 10 jobs filling in the next couple hours, and to take action for that. To customer facing operations, things like employee onboarding, right? Every new employee joining a company needs to be onboarded, and the onboarding experience is pretty critical for the employee. But then the onboarding process itself touches 8 to 10 different systems in the enterprise, and it takes time. So Ignio has also been used to address composite business workflows like employee onboarding. And if you see the spectrum of use cases that Ignio is addressing, to where you have employee onboarding, which is automation driven, intelligent automation driven, business user facing, to bad job systems which are more legacy but which impact the business processes, to resiliency of supercritical IT systems. So the use cases span a wide spectrum, and that's the kind of things that we are addressing from customer to customer, vertical to vertical.
Interesting. So it sounds like then by going through these different steps in these workflows, there's also a very important quality of cutting across silos. I can imagine that a lot of these kind of problems get siloed and then forgotten.
Right, absolutely. That is how traditionally IT service delivery models have been. Either because of the technology reasons, either because of the traditionally how the companies have grown, skills that have been divided. So teams pretty much operate in silos, and things fall through the crack because majority of the critical business transactions cut across multiple things. Like for example, we are working with one of the healthcare services provider. It's a very unique situation. It's a wellness program that they have launched into the market.
Excellent.
And there are a lot of yoga studios and all the people who provide a lot of wellness things to the end customers, and they give a lot of discounts, and it's a heavily branded item area into this. Now, one of the interesting issue is you go and enroll into a yoga studio on behalf of this healthcare provider. You get some discounts, and that's why you get into this. And every courses that you take, everything that you do there, those details go back to this healthcare provider, and so that the reconciliation happens, you get the points. It's a very simple model. But because sometimes the batch systems fail, the files that move from these yoga studio systems to this healthcare provider, they don't process well, they don't go on time, you're not able to accrue the points, or you're not able to convert those and get the necessary discounts. And that results big time onto customer dissatisfaction. It's a big problem because so many people are now into wellness rather than just acquiring all these benefits. So that's where Ignio can help big time, because now this problem is cutting across multiple silos within the organization, and that's where we are able to apply this technology effectively to break those silos and bring the benefits out.
Excellent.
I think you've kind of hit the nail on its head when you said that break silos. I mean, at the end of the day, if you see from an enterprise, whatever work originates, whether we want to predict, prevent, learn, resolve, that work essentially comes to an organization that is designed to handle that. With Ignio, the paradigm shift is that Ignio stands in between the work and this organization, and with the first right of refusal, if you will, and it changes the volume and composition of the work that's coming into your ops organization as well.
Interesting.
And that allows for breaking down the silos in a much better way. Because today, the best guys in your organization are actually firefighting most of the time.
Exactly.
So you're augmenting them, giving them, using
Exactly.
AI to amplify the amount that they can do. Oh, fantastic.
So we can also call it as an intelligent virtual expert. That's one word phrase we use.
Well, without getting into names, can you talk about some of your key customer cases?
Definitely. So I think we can I'll add a couple. So across the IT operations use case, we have a customer who has used Ignio to predominantly intelligently automate a lot of the IT operations activities in the backend. There are a lot of issues and downtimes and outages that result from capacity overhead issues, application availability issues, And usually the cycle time for resolving such issues is from hours to days, and it's got severe business impact. They've essentially gotten Ignio, and they have applied Ignio to self-heal from a lot of these incidents, automate, routine but complex jobs such as patching and all that, a wide spectrum. And today, I would say Ignio is doing several tens of thousands of hours of work a month. So it's, and as a result, we are like turning it around in a few minutes for tasks that take hours and so on and so forth. Not only there is financial benefit to it, there is a great uptick in the resiliency. And what we have also interestingly noticed is for that environment, the adoption of Ignio is proportional to the benefits that it's delivering. So more use cases, they're seeing greater benefits, and that's feeding into more use cases. And it's a cyclical effect. And that's one customer scenario. And this is a pretty much a retail media research kind of industry. On the banking financial services side, we have a customer whose entire batch landscape, Ignio actually acts as a analytics platform to tell them about the risk profile of their jobs, because for them, they need to finish their batch processing by a certain time in the night. Otherwise, these days users take to social media to say when they can't do something, right? And then so it's very super critical to understand what's the risk profile, what jobs are likely to fail, how does this impact their operations, to be able to glean through terabytes of data to get these insights out and give it to your command center operations team to exactly take action to prevent and resolve them. And that has generated, I would say, several hundred notifications of impending failures that were potentially avoided. So that's another kind of a use case, and I'll probably let Abhijit talk about it.
Yeah, so some of the retailers, like one of the retailer we had where we started working, during the peak season, they were always having issues into their e-commerce engine, and because of the site load and all the other technical issues. So we started implementing Ignio, and we deployed a lot of health checks, a lot of self-heal related capabilities. And during that peak season, the last one that they went through, instead of issues coming in, now they were able to witness 55% customer growth into that particular area. So that was like without changing anything into their current existing infrastructure or application. So that was the power that we were able to bring out and bring that benefit to the business. Because many times people think that this is an IT issue, systems issue, things don't work, and maybe we'll have to invest something big into a new technology. But you bring in Ignio, and this was a change that we were able to bring in.
Substantial bottom line.
Substantial top line growth here. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, one other question. This is breaking new ground. And so this is an area of application of AI that I haven't seen as much before. Can you point out any cases of where others have tried to work with this prior to the kind of sophistication that we have with machine learning now? Right. That some contrast there.
Yeah. So I'll give you a slightly different view, and probably I'll let Abhijit throw some light on it as well. So when you really look at AI, the way it has been used, and it has been used for a variety of use cases, whether it is healthcare to research to what have you. And there are a lot of AI platforms and libraries that are out there which people are actually customizing and using for delivering certain use cases. Now, if you really look at from an Ignio perspective, what we are doing with AI in terms of breaking ground is, we feel that to resolve any problem, you need to have not just the skills to execute that the resolution, but you need to have the contextual knowledge, and you need to have the ability to bring both of these together. And that's where I think, and the ability to integrate with the larger ecosystem. See, typically current AI platforms, traditionally, they have been expensive experiments, they have been short experiments. There have been impediments to industrializing them on a large scale. But here what we have done is, it's more an applied AI, which we have looked at as a customer first, an enterprise first angle, such that we can industrialize, we can implement at scale, so that the benefits can be at scale. Because if the benefits are not at scale, then it becomes yet another pilot or POC, which I think has been dogging any new state-of-the-art technology for a while now. And that's what and there are a lot of very promising organizations and startups and companies which are doing fantastic work in this field with their various use cases. But I think the trend now is shifting, where every software platform is figuring out some way of using AI and ML to either extend, optimize, or add new capabilities to their own software process. That's definitely a shift that at least I am observing in the industry.
Yeah, like you said, this is very much a unique application of AI and machine learning, because most of the time when you think about AI and machine learning traditionally, people are very comfortable with the conversational AI. Like you take English language, the whole word, statements, paragraph, you make the patterns out of it. You apply it to the voice, you apply it to the written statements, and you create the patterns. That's one of the very popular application that people always thought of. In our case, we started applying it onto the IT systems or the technology components of it. How is the operating system working, how is the database working, and things of that nature. And I think that's where we primarily come from, the lineage of being a system integrator. TCS is a large system integration company, consulting company. So we are very big into, you can say, practitioners of these technologies before we applied machine learning onto this. So we actually knew how these various technologies work together in order to create the whole large systems.
You have that domain
We had
expertise.
that domain
It's
expertise.
part of the DNA of the organization.
And that's where we were able to apply machine learning. And as Jayanti was saying, this is very much of a applied AI or applied machine learning. So this is not general purpose machine learning algorithms and you throwing the data and curate it and try and build the patterns. But this is something which is fine-tuned towards the IT operations and business operations side of the world. So that's the kind of a different path that we have taken into this whole area.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to keynote and talks tomorrow.
Sure.
Abhijit, Jayanti, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Vak.